Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Free Agent Podcast. My name is Meg Schmitz, and I welcome today my good friend Todd Ruedt from ActionCOACH International. You see his logo behind him. But first and foremost, let's talk about what this podcast is all about. It's called the Free Agent Podcast. It's all about taking control over your future. The mission of my show is to share inspiring conversations with real people who took the leap into self-employment, business ownership, franchising, and freedom. From corporate refugees and executives tired of the desk job to entrepreneurs and investors looking to share camaraderie in their business journey, my podcast aims the spotlight on real people who stepped into the unknown, took control of their destiny, and became their own boss. We all know that with a pandemic and other economic uncertainties, that business ownership is something that doesn't get discussed every day. But for those of us who are in the thick of it, we've got our ups and our downs, our left hooks that come out of nowhere, like last year. And so having Todd on will be really interesting because as an action coach, he is working with business owners, entrepreneurs every day, as am I, and really has his finger on the pulse. But more importantly, Todd is a franchisee. And I want to talk to that point as well about his move into business ownership, but then also, Todd, how you're sensing 2021 emerging for the people that you're consulting with. So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, it's always great to have you on. Every conversation that you and I have is really interesting and rangy and leggy and so informative. Why don't you first set the stage for the listeners? How did you make your decision to enter into ActionCOACH, and where were you prior to that? What was the incentive for you to make that move?
Yeah, the journey, right? And so 2021 marks my 22nd year as an entrepreneur. So I started out, 20 plus years ago, just with an idea that I could do it better. I was a great technician, and my original background is in horticulture. That's my degree. And so I was a landscaper for 34 years. And I met ActionCOACH as a client in 2006. So this is my 15th year of being part of the brand. After many years of helping the organization helping me grow my business and helping me get out of the way, in 2015, I made the decision to go with the brand of ActionCOACH. Started out as first a employee business coach with the organization that my company was being coached with. And in 2018, I decided to sell that first company. After being a coach for 2.5 years, it was time to let go of the past. And I made the choice to go off on my own and create ActionCOACH Brookfield, which was in 2018. It started in July and made the leap of faith and opened up my location in Brookfield in August 1st. And so it's been a few years. But really, I didn't buy the franchise. I had to wait a year. And so I got started on buying the franchise in 2019. And I officially bought in December of 2019. So I've been a little bit over a year and almost a year and a half of being a franchise owner now with ActionCOACH. And so again, it marks my 15th year with the brand and 5 years as a certified coach. And so that's been the journey of ActionCOACH. And after 15 years, I couldn't see a better way to buy into the franchise and be part of the brand that built my entrepreneurship. So that's kind of the backstory of what I've done.
So for you, being, as am I, an entrepreneur as well as involved in franchising, what are some of the benefits that you have realized in making the transition into franchise ownership?
Yeah, when I built systems inside of my previous company, it was a lot of work, just a lot of stress and knowledge that I didn't have that I had to figure out. So when I looked at the ActionCOACH brand, those were some of the systems that already helped me build myself. And to go in, and if I was to ever think about doing some other type of consulting, all of this material that's been built over the last 28 years of ActionCOACH wouldn't be available. And so just having the knowledge of, well, now 2,000 coaches behind me and, 28 years of systems and procedures, I couldn't see not wanting to be part of a franchise because of that reason is I get all the information I need and support. Was the support is the key thing. I can communicate not only with our global office, but coaches around the globe. So that's hence why I picked the franchise.
It is a benefit of a great franchise company to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that's the nice thing about the breadth and depth of Action Coach, all those resources that are available at your fingertips to fill in the blanks for where you might not have the same level of expertise, but you can leverage the other coaches.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was it. Being an entrepreneur, and I'd like to explain in this way, I was a business owner because I had one business. And so when I had my landscaping firm, I was a business owner, and Action Coach, right? It helped me to then become an entrepreneur, which now I own multiple businesses. And the franchise helped me to expand my mind and help me expand into building businesses that I could step away with and I could still get results.
And this is such a hot topic today. The notion of how to build security is to have multiple revenue streams. And so for people who are listening to this and you've got a job, look at franchising and all those support mechanisms as an ability to diversify your portfolio and create more income streams. But Todd, I just revel every time we're talking about how much confidence you have in the expansion. Talk about some of the ways that you're expanding your business right now.
Yeah. One of the, biggest challenges that I was faced with becoming a coach was, well, how do I get people to reach out to me and how do I get exposure, right? And so our brand and our systems are great, but I needed more marketing support and more opportunities. So when I sold that first company, I expanded off into a thing called the Offsite Collaboration Center, which is housed where I have my action coaching practice in Brookfield. What that allowed me to do is expand my mindset and expand my reach and build my own networks. So now I have opportunities that get together with us that become opportunities for business, which then sparked into, well, if I can do this here, why can't I do it anywhere? And so I opened up ActionCOACH of Fox Cities, another franchise brand, and also another offsite collaboration center, which is my own brand, which I'm now learning how to replicate and will look to eventually franchise. So now I can take the learnings from what I learned from my franchise, put it into my own systems, and create a similar model to build a co-networking facility. And we have plans to open, 2 to 3 more locations in the next 1 to 2 years. So it's expanded my mind. The franchise, it just gave me so much leverage into what I had to think about that I didn't have to think so hard of how to grow my business. So that's
huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I came up through the Great Clip system, went from a single unit, acquired a second unit, and then opened 3 more. And someone made me an offer I couldn't refuse because it looked like it was supposed to look and it acted the way it was supposed to act. And that's when I jumped the fence and came to the consulting side, but it also gave me the confidence to start some other businesses, just like you're doing. I think the benefit for anyone who's listening, if you're thinking about a franchise versus doing something yourself, that learning curve, that incline is so much faster with a franchise because you're really leveraging off of the infrastructure in place. Things happen so much faster.
Yeah. And, just to reflect on that, it took me 19 years to build my other business in what took me 3 years to do in a franchise.
And you're talking about from a financial standpoint?
Financial standpoint, return on my time, return on my investment, all of those things. It took me 19 years to get out of my day-to-day business.
Huge.
It took me 3 years to get out of my day-to-day business with a franchise.
That is remarkable, but not unique. This type of story I hear so frequently talking to other franchise owners. And then the confidence that systemization gives you in building your own entrepreneurial startup, you're not duplicating, but you're using those same steps then to build your new business. And those financial returns, that's significant, Todd.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've learned from working with other franchises as a coach, most people try to get away from the system. They want to make it their own. And that's where the struggles come in is when you use the tools that are given to you, you will get results. If you sway from those tools, that's usually where I find entrepreneurs get in trouble.
Yeah.
And so that to me has been the thing is I follow all of the systems that have been given to me. And that's why the results have happened. So I can't say enough about how great it is to have that opportunity to go back to the system all the time if I'm having a challenge.
Yeah. Is there any one thing, one habit or tool you're using this year that is a new layer?
So we have a lot of what I like to say marketing opportunities that come from our franchise. Our global organization, our leader, Brad Sugars, who created ActionCOACH, right? He does a lot of material to help us grow. So all of the different things through the pandemic and pivoting and everything like that, there was videos, there was material, extra stuff that we were doing on a global level that we could bring down to the granular level right here locally. That's what we did differently is we built communities because of that. And so that's really what happened for us in March of last year is we took what was a small 20 group people getting together. We turned that into a 220 group person business owner roundtable that showed up every week to bring results. And so we did a virtual, what we call roundtable is what we called it. And just like everybody else that went on Zoom, we helped 220 businesses create over $4 million worth of revenue in 6 months. That kept them all surviving and moving forward. So it was really not sitting still and waiting and going right into things and facing it, right away, not waiting to go, hey, should we do this? It's just take action.
Take action and share best practices. What is happening in San Francisco is different than what's happening in Spearfish, South Dakota. It's so different from one part of the country, one municipality to the next. And that's where having a network, I imagine, as broad as ActionCOACH is, you've got pulse points from all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And that I can reflect back on my entrepreneurship in my first business and go, man, I work hard. Like I worked way too hard to get what I got. And I look at that and I go, man, I spent, I always tell people I worked at least half days, which was 12 hours. I was working 12 to 18 hours every day when I had my own business that wasn't a franchise. And now, to be completely honest, I work 2.5 days a week with my franchise and make more money than I did before.
I love that. Talk about quality of life.
Yeah. So that was it, is it really gave me a lifestyle instead of a life business.
Yeah.
So that's the things you normally don't hear from people. I get to hear those every day as a coach. I get to hear the trials and tribulations and the not so great things. Because the one thing that I always learned is when you ask a business owner how's business, they go, it's great. And when you get behind the scenes, you learn that, hey, everybody's going through similar struggles, but it can be simpler.
Yeah, just as we started this conversation today, the reality is that there are ups and downs and sneak attacks for us as business owners, and we have to take action, particularly if we have employees. Yeah. But our customers are depending on that as well. Was there a moment where you said, oh, yeah, this is awesome. This is mine. Or another moment where you went, oh, crap, this is mine.
That's called Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's all of the days that you have that. I mean, here's the thing is I always tell people I'm a business coach, but I don't have it all figured out. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 5 companies. There is always the, oh my goodness, moments that show up every day. And COVID was something that nobody knew about. The pandemic, we worked through it as quickly as possible and it's still around, but we had to figure out what to do with every business and they all struggled. They all had challenges at times. And, then you have these big wins where you go, wow, that's why I'm in business. And so we focus more on the wins than we do on the struggles. We learn from them. But then, the one question I always ask myself is what's great about this? So when I have the oh no moments or the freak out points or waking up in the middle of the night, I go, okay, what did I learn from it? But what was really great about that learning? What was really great about this thing? So I can bring some positive to a negative situation.
And that really epitomizes the free agent mentality. When I talk to some of these professional athletes who are in transition, some of them don't have an agent. They don't have a team to practice with.
Yeah.
they have to have that terrier, that fight every day to get out there and try to make a new team where there is a ton of competition for that position.
Yeah.
And having that mental toughness, did that come naturally to you as you were building your last business? Tell me about.
Wait a second, hold on. Do you see the gray hair here? This has been purchased every day in business. I mean, it doesn't come from just age. It comes from stress. It comes from everything else. So I personally feel I went through the school of hard knocks. I didn't seek out mentorship right away. I thought I knew everything when I started my first business, and I paid for it. I worked hard and beat myself up. And hence why when I decided to do it again, and what I say is that do it again was to start another type of business, I wanted to do it smarter. And, I people that know me from my past understand how hard I had to work every single day and the sacrifice that came with it. And they see me now and they're like, wow, it's an amazing transformation to see you in business now and what you don't have to do.
It's really amazing just thinking about your 19 years. My husband and I are involved with tall grass restoration, and we've got that physical, laborious experience of removing multiflora rows and black locust trees and all that other invasive, nasty stuff. And for us, it's fun. But similarly, that is an independent business that we continue to work on building and developing, and it's hard work. It's outdoor work. Were you working in the business as well as on the business during those years? Yeah,
it took me the first 8 years to start to let go. And so I was my best technician. I was a technician for many years in different places, and I got addicted to being a technician. And that's what I find many of the business owners I meet are challenged with. They're addicted to their business because they're the best at it. And I was the best. I couldn't find anybody better than me because that was my mindset.
So true. And this reminds me of the EMyth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Okay, yeah. That is a great resource for listeners. If you want to get a real good insight into what Todd is talking about, how to succeed as a business owner, you really do need to know what your personality type is and your skill sets. And I preach to people all the time who are getting into franchising. I don't preach to them. I just say to them outright, I will come and break your knees if I find you working in the business. That is not why you're buying into a franchise. You're there to run the business, the overview. You hire industry experts. And to your point, it is a mindset that we do it better. Well, you're only going to be as good as how much work you can do in that 12-hour period of time. That's the cap on your income, right?
Yeah, and that's really what was the key thing for me is I hit a ceiling, right? Because I got stuck at a point where my business wasn't growing, and it was because I was stuck in it every day. And so hence why I met ActionCOACH was to figure out how to work on it instead of in it. And so those technician things, the funny thing is after 22 years of being an entrepreneur, I'm still addicted to business. I talk myself into saying that I love what I do every day. But when I get to do some other things, I fall in love with those too. So when I found that happiness of being okay with other people accomplishing things and that joy of seeing other people complete the job that I would have normally done, that was so much more rewarding than myself doing it. But I still, to this day, need to fulfill my logistical side of my brain, because that was really it. All that hard work and labor was logistical, completing a project. So I still, to this day, struggle with how do I get that feeding to my brain to get that done? Because creative, now I do a lot more of that, but I still need to feed the logistical side. And hence, I've never worked indoors until this job. And so being outside for 34 years, dealing with the elements, and then now for the last 5, being in a controlled environment, it's such a massive change to who I am and what I had to do. So I think, those things are the battles that I find many business owners to go through every day is who do I have to be every single day for my business to get the results we need?
Yeah. And becoming very clear about how much of your time costing you money And my mom says that I talk about money way too often, but my response back to her is, well, money does solve the money problem. Money does not bring you joy, right. But when your business gets to the point where you're monetizing and it's providing for your mortgage, it's putting food on your table, that's a real addiction at that point. It's like, wow, this is really fabulous that my business is making that much money. Look at what else then you can do with that.
Yeah. And you know what I loved about the franchise is when I bring other people onto my team, the training is so much easier because the systems are there for them to learn from. So I didn't have to create all of these things for onboarding team and all of these things for training team. The tools are there for them to look at and learn from. And then I can help them understand the culture that we created, because everybody still has their own culture, no matter whether you're part of a franchise. And because of geography, you have your own clients that are different from everywhere else in the world. So you do have to create some things on your own, but the way that I train people makes it so much faster and simpler for me that I can step away from it.
Going back in time to your past business at 8 years, you were being taught how to let go. How did you then identify people who could backfill what you were going to vacate? How did you identify them? And then how did you yourself, going back then, onboard these people? And what kind of challenge was it still for you to let go, or did it become obvious and easy?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And really, as I look back at it, I had to figure out, first off, what brought me the most joy in my business. What was I most excited to do every day? And then figure out how to let go of the things that didn't bring me the most joy, and then find people that were better than me at all those things I didn't like to do. Right. So I made a list of all the things that I do, and then which ones did I like the most? And then also which ones made me the most money? Like what could give me my best hourly return for myself, and focused on those. And then I found people that loved those other things, because some people hate doing the financial stuff in their business. And so I found other people that were great at that. Some people hate doing the invoicing, the paperwork. I found people that love that. Some people don't like, working out in the field. I found people that love that, and just kept finding people that had the love and passion for each position. And I really created really good job descriptions and job postings, which describe that person. And when you describe a person and they read it, they go, that's me. And that was my number one strategy for that, was really getting good at writing job descriptions and job postings to attract the right person and the right behavioral style for that.
Nice. It's so important, so important for, again, anyone who's listening and who has a business. If this is one of your challenges, which everyone will tell you that staffing is a challenge, it's supply and demand, right? If you master the ability to convey who you're looking for, it's much easier for your ads to do the heavy lifting of attracting the right kind of people. So I suppose you can help with that.
Yeah, I think the thing is Meg, the biggest challenge that I was facing is I didn't know enough about myself. So I had to spend a lot of time figuring out who I was so that I could communicate better with other people. If I didn't know how I communicated, I wasn't doing a good job at communicating how other people want to be communicated to. And so I was communicating in my style, which was more abrupt and more task orientated. I had to figure out how to get better to be more people and explain things better and be a coach to my own team. And hence, when I got a coach, they taught me how to become a better leader in my organization.
So important, again, to have a mentor and to have a network of truth-telling people who will keep you on target and on focus. Turning the tables a little bit to your clientele. Yeah. Do you have success stories, one or two, that you'd like to highlight here on the segment?
Yeah. Man, there's so many. I've now worked over the last 3 years with over 250 businesses. And over the 5 years, it's been about 400 businesses that I got to work with so far. Stories such as taking people from just incredibly bad health. And I don't want to get too far into it, but people that were having health issues, ulcers, all of these problems, to changing their whole life around and not spending every moment in their business to now having healthy lifestyles and healthy family life. Those are some of the big ones. I was also a challenge of missing life. And I find that I can reflect with that on people as I help them get their life back, but also make more money.
Yeah.
And that's, the biggest thing. I think the best stories are the ones where people actually set their business up and they can step out of it. And I've had quite a few of those where they can actually get out of the day-to-day and they can start doing some other passions that they had in opening other businesses.
Yeah.
In the last year, I've actually had 3 entrepreneurs that have opened their second business during the pandemic because of the opportunity that was there. And while we were coaching them, their businesses, were doing well. I work with a lot of service-based companies, professional services, and contracted services. And both of those organizations became essential. So that was good for, my practice and everything we did. But they were able to leverage ideas and opportunities to grow and expand. So those are some of the best stories, is when they get out of the first business, now they have the tools to go do that in any business they want to.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been truly inspiring how many of the First Friday networking group members were reporting drinking from a fire hose last year. They chose wisely, and their particular industry was either essential or became very much in demand thanks to work from home. And that's really rewarding. I know some of your clients are members of that group, and it's great to be able to see them share their success stories. And a couple of them in particular have come to me to expand further. As a testimony to your work, a couple of them, either in person or via Zoom, this format, have leaned in with their finger and said, I have the best life ever. Yeah. If I'm going to diversify, don't mess it up.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I can say this name because he's one of my best advocates, and you already had him on a podcast, and Barry Hintz, his story when I met him, and you heard his story on your podcast here. And just to hear how he evolved with working with him, it's just been an incredible journey to see his transformation of getting his life back. And he is one of my best advocates for what we've done. And he did that in a year. I mean, it's amazing transformations that these business owners go to when they step out of the day-to-day and can actually see their business from the outside versus being stuck in the weeds every day.
Yeah. And he is another one of those prototypical guys where I told him going into his business, I will break your knees if I find you doing the work every day. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's human nature for us to get involved in something. I don't care if it's parenting or a new job. You get sucked into the vortex of learning and wanting to be recognized as accomplished. Maybe not expert, but certainly knowing enough about it that you have credibility. So that's human nature is to go into that. But extricating yourself then, once you hit that 80% knowledge level, it's really hard to extricate and delegate to other people. They're all, of course, the Simon Sinek videos, but people need a lot more than a Simon Sinek video to fix their business. Why don't you, at this point, give people your contact information? How can they reach out to you if they need this kind of business support that you and your team offer? Where can they find you, Todd?
Yeah, it's the best way is through our website at coachingwisconsin.com. That myself and my partner business coach, Dave Steffen, you can reach out to both of us through there. And our phone number and contact information is right there. So coachingwisconsin.com is the best way to do that. To talk about Action Coach and what we do, and I find that there's a lot of fear around coaching because when I came into it, I thought that getting a coach meant I was failing. And I learned that it's the exact opposite. Is people that are succeeding and doing great things get a coach because they want to get that much better. And they don't know what to do next. And I always talk about like sports and sports coaching, right? Is your coach doesn't go on the field for you, but they make you see what you're doing on the field that makes you better and gets you 1/10 of a second faster, or you just catch the ball that much easier. And that's what they see. And so That's been the big transformation for me is being a client of a coaching organization and then going to the other side of the desk. That's really what's made me unique is that I'm able to see things that I used to be doing in some of my clients. And that's what I find is very valuable to go, you know what, in my experience, this is what happened to me when I was where you were at, or this is what other business owners did from their experiences. And we can really walk away from some of those challenges without running into them, but still learn what would happen if we went through it. So, that's been just something you can't replace in all of the years of entrepreneurship, and I think for me, the hard work made this that much better.
And again, so true. You're answering some of the questions that I had in my mind coming into this conversation. So thank you for making my job really easy. But it also comes from knowing you. Is there anything that you would do differently if you had a do-over?
I love that question. But I also sit there and go, there is no way I would be who I am today or have the knowledge that I have without going through all that stuff. And so would there be things I would do differently? Yeah, heck yeah, I would get more financial support right away. Like get somebody that really knows it because I didn't know anything. I was a great technician. So getting, really good people around me there. I would have got a mentor sooner. I did not ask enough people for help. I didn't seek out someone with gray hair like me because I thought I knew everything because of, I was overconfident and thought I knew what to do. So I would definitely seek out mentors. It doesn't have to be a coach. It can be someone else that has experience or will be honest with you.
Yes.
As I used to talk to my friends and they didn't know squat about business, but they would give me their opinions, and you know how much everybody loves opinions. And so, find that person that can mentor you, or you can mentor each other back and forth because you're really good at listening, not responding.
Yeah, there's active listening, but there's also something that just came to mind, and that is about opinions. And you have to be careful as business owners. We need to be careful who we ask for support or to listen, because they will foist their own fears. Oh, why would you go into business right now? It's a pandemic. Well, it's actually a great time to go into business if you choose the right one. So you do have to be careful about who your posse is composed of. People will definitely be sympathetic to you, but what you really need as a business owner is that accountability and active listening of other people who will take in your pain points, but then turn it back around to you as opportunity in order to get better.
Yeah.
And that's what having a coach is all about.
Yeah, I think, when now thinking about your question a little bit more is what would I do differently is I wasn't good at having the other people around me gain more knowledge. So if I think about the people that I associated with when I was a starting entrepreneur and the people I associate with now, I lost a lot of great friends along the way because they did not grow. And I did. And I wish I would have helped or talked to them more about growing along the way, because that's the part that's so challenging about being an entrepreneur. For me, it was a very lonely journey because I thought I was the only one going through that challenge or that struggle.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have talked to more people and asked them to come along with me because, you lose people along the way, and that doesn't always have to happen.
And in the last year or so, Pete and I have been invested in a number of we are angel investors. We're invested in a lot of startup companies. Some of them are not new. They're not young entrepreneurs. And the last year has been really challenging if you're out there swimming in a lane all by yourself. Or swimming all by yourself without a lane to go in, and having those boundaries and parameters, but also the which is what a franchise system is. Yeah. So being an entrepreneur, which you are, as am I still every day reflect back on the systems that were in place when I was with Great Clips and how much great education came so rapidly by being affiliated with a really great concept.
Yeah. And that's for me, that's the best part about the franchise, right? Is when I'm feeling like I'm on an island alone, I just call a couple other coaches, around the Midwest or around the globe. And I say, how are things going for you? And they share very similar stories. And I go, okay, so what are you doing to work through it? And because of the franchise, I have people that are right here in my industry that are in similar things and similar challenges that I can reflect on. We can brainstorm and work together. Now, when I was just a business owner, I could talk to other business owners, but they weren't exactly in my trade. They weren't exactly in doing that because people thought I was competition. They didn't want to talk to me when I was a landscaper if they were a landscaper because they feared that. As a coach and as a franchise, they're more open to go, okay, here's what's happening. And so that's been huge, just to have that network to go, okay, I'm in a rut. What do I need to do? I need to call somebody else and not be afraid to talk about it because odds are they're going through similar things.
This is perfect timing too. So tomorrow is the Propel event being held in the ActionCOACH location. I'm one of the speakers, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Is cooperation with your competition, because in all likelihood, you do some things well and I do some things well. But if we find that intersection of working together on behalf of the client, then those people are gold because they're sticky. They love what their outcome is. And so in 2020, it became very evident that collaboration instead of competition increased revenue as well as profitability.
Yeah. And, I know you guys work with other brands of coaching, so my vision is that I'm not the best coach for everybody. And so by learning who my partners are, and, I can name other focal points and different, single shingle coaches. And that's awesome to have in our marketplace, because the reality of it is I'm not going to fit everybody. And everybody needs a coach and everybody needs a mentor. So when I have these other partners that I can go, you know what, it sounds like this person's going to be a better fit for you based on geography maybe, or it's just behavioral style or the systems that they know or their background. You're right. I'm a guy that knows service and logistics, and that's my specialty. And I know the language of contractors. And so that's why people are attracting me, is they don't have to teach me their language. So I work really well with them, but hey, I'm not a manufacturing guy. I can work with them, but that's not my specialty. So I have other coaches that I go, you know what, you should go over here, and that's going to be a better fit for you. And for me to let go of that instead of trying to be something for everybody is what has accelerated me. And that's really it, is I can't be everything for everyone. I've got to define my niche. So when people talk to me and they see this franchise, my franchise has a niche. And here you go. There could be somebody else just a couple miles from you. And we do have 10 coaches in Southeastern Wisconsin with ActionCOACH. That's their niche. And I go, you know what, go talk to them, or go talk to a totally different organization because they have something that we may not offer. And I don't believe I can offer everything. And that's just where I've always been as an entrepreneur.
I don't need to come tomorrow. You'll be there already. You just delivered my 15-minute presentation tomorrow.
Oh, and here's the thing though, is everybody delivers something differently. And that's what I love about you, is you just have so many offerings that, people can get engaged with in so many ways that you can help them to see a bigger opportunity. And that's why your network is so great. That's just really it, is not only can people come in and, purchase a franchise and be part of that, but they can also support. And you open your doors to everyone, which is what makes you unique, right? As many of people wouldn't open doors to that because there'd be a fear of people just coming and taking from your organization. But you figured out a way to find the givers. I think that's the biggest thing is when you can find givers to be part of your network and part of your space, they'll actually get rid of the takers. And I think, the better you bring that group of people around you and get those mentors and get you those positive individuals, it pushes away I always like to say, the net takers versus the net workers.
Oh, nice. Net taker.
There's always these people that will come into an event and they'll try and get every business card they can. They'll put you on a list in hopes that you'll buy, or they try to sell with you right away. And there's no relationship. And so what I love to do, and what you've done as well, is how do we build relationships faster so you can get that result in 2 to 3 months instead of 2 to 3 years?
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, once you're mine, you're always mine. You never leave my radar screen. You're always in my head. It's like they become my children.
Yeah.
And it's not, there's nothing better than working with somebody, getting them into this network. Thank God for Zoom and all of the capabilities and the time savings, and how lovely it is that people come to that meeting. And in the moment, they're clicking on the chat and sending their contact information or saying, hey, I can make that introduction. I can solve that problem in the moment. We don't even have to wait until the end of the meeting to share business cards. It is great for business owners today to have resources like you or like me, where it's not about us, it's about them.
Yeah. Well, you go back, Meg, to your question about what did I do differently? I had a vision when I started this in 2019. We got my franchises. How do I become a fully virtual business by 2025? And it wasn't because I couldn't go virtual. I was worried about training everybody else in the world that I would work with to be virtual. And the pandemic to me was the biggest blessing for my career ever, because we all had to learn how to be virtual. And I went from live coaching, where I'd have someone right across the desk from me here. I don't have to do that anymore, which makes me fully mobile. And that's what's been the best part about the franchise. Not only do I have the systems, now I have the mobile capabilities. I can take a month and go anywhere I want and do my work. And so that's the benefit of, being the franchise owner, is you get away and you can still monitor your business. You can still do those things, and your team has the support of the franchise to reach out to if they have challenges.
Yeah.
So great stuff.
It has been such a great year for me as well. I've always been virtual, but a year and a couple of months ago, I was having a conversation with a group of fellow consultants about the use of Zoom or GoToMeeting or FaceTime in order to do a consultation or get an update on someone's progress. And I told people back then, no, I'm good. I'm good in person. And I established great relationships, honesty, trust over the phone. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, but I also had 5 of my best referral partners coincidentally retired in 2019. And it had always been kind of gnawing at me back here that I needed to backfill and create more trusted relationships with people who are touching the lives of people who want to diversify, or they want to find plan B or an alternative to a job. Yeah. What did I do? I pivoted right into Zoom. And so when people say, nah, you can't use that to create trusted relationships and honesty and transparency. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I can look Todd in the eye right now. I can read his facial expressions and his body language. And it's a beautiful way to have this connectivity and help people move forward. It is a time savings, of course, but trusting technology is a big takeaway from 2020. One of the other groups that I'm a part of, we meet every Wednesday morning. And one of our conversations recently, one of the challenge questions was, in doing networking and connecting with people on LinkedIn, how afraid are you of cold calling, either cold calling or cold connecting with people? And it's really about intent and having an answer, looking at the profile of the person, not just the headline, but digging a little deeper so that when they do push back, it's easy to say, hey, I noticed this on your profile, and this is why I thought it would be a good thing for us to connect and have a conversation. Then it makes it harder for them to say no, because they know that you've done research.
Yeah, I think what I've learned is people struggle to ask the hard questions.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're afraid for people to ask them the hard questions.
There's a book called that, The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
I have not heard of that one. I'm going to jot that down right now. Hard Thing About Hard Things. And the live things are great. I mean, to be completely honest, we kept live events going throughout the entire pandemic. I found outdoor venues for things. I have my facilities, which we could, socially distance and do all that. And I had events that were 52 businesses in December. I had 75 businesses together in March, and we're looking at 250 businesses for an event coming up here in June. And we figured out ways to make sure that, everything was safe. We still did stuff virtually in between, but we're still working as hard as we can to bring people together, because that option, right, is that personal interaction is where the gold is. And the virtual platform gets you a lot of that, but sometimes you need to come together to really get the bigger impact. And so, that combination now is just magical, to be able to spend time like this and save the drive time, and you don't have to buy a cup of coffee. And then when you want to get together, you can still do that and just strengthen the relationship. So yeah, kudos to the technology world for making it easy on all of us.
And you're absolutely right. Tomorrow when I see you, I'm going to hug you, because that is what I do. I'm a hugger. There was actually down the hall from our apartment back in Illinois, there was a fire in one of the units on Valentine's Day. And the firemen didn't know which apartment it was in, which stairwell to go up. And my husband went out the door with the dog when the alarms were going off, and he went right up to the fire chief and told him, go up this stairway. Here's the apartment number. At the end of that whole unfortunate event, fire chief and a couple of his guys came and knocked on our apartment door to thank my husband for giving them the insight. He said, fire chief said, easy, saved him 15 minutes. And these are guys running up the stairs with water backpacks like you saw in 9/11. Mm-hmm. There were hugs. And so to the point of people saying, we're not going to handshake or hug. Yeah, we are. Yeah. We are.
I mean, there's a certain sector of the world that won't, and that's okay. And that's what we do, is we make acceptance for everybody, like they make acceptance for me or someone else. And there's going to be the handshakes and the hugs, and there's going to be the fist bumps and the elbows, and everybody's going to have their own way. And that's what's great about the business community here in southeastern Wisconsin, and for us across the globe. But I mean, everybody gets a choice, and I think that's what's been really neat about the franchise is there's so much diversity, and we all still get choice. So, yeah.
Well, tomorrow it'll be great to see you and everybody else. And we should all have like a little sign or a bubble over our heads that says, I'm a fist bumper or I'm a hugger. Maybe I'll do that. I'll make myself one overnight here so that people know.
We'll have to come up with a national color or sticker that says handshake, yes or no, or whatever that is, so people can identify people before they walk up to them. That would be fantastic. So yeah. Well,
thank you for being here today. And this has been a great interview and opportunity to learn more about not only Action Coach, but you and your business background. As soon as we know when we're having our prescribed burn, I will let you know. But as of yesterday, it looks like it'll be the first weekend in May.
Oh, awesome.
We're doing it a little bit later. The team had 78 burns to do, some of them big like ours and others of them small, so that we're really trying to knock off the smaller ones or the ones that are further away. So if you'd like to come, I will make sure that you know when it is as we get closer. But if the weather is good, that's what we're targeting.
Yeah. Can I make a shameless plug?
Absolutely.
So for those that are interested in learning more about business ownership, or if you are a business owner and love to get in front of them, June 17th and 18th, I do have an event that you can find on my coachingwisconsin.com website. We're planning on having 250 business owners in there, plus sponsors. Our founder, Brad Sugars, is coming to town. And it's very rare to have a billionaire come and train you for 2 days. And so we've got this incredible opportunity for entrepreneurs to get outside of their business for a couple of days, celebrate their wins, and take away some things from a speaker you wouldn't normally catch, in Neenah, Wisconsin, for a 2-day event. So it's local. It's a great opportunity. And Meg, I hope you can make it as well. And like I said, all of our communities. So I just really am proud of being able to bring something like that to the business community locally here. So I hope everybody can take a chance to either jump on and get there, or be part in some way, shape, or form. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in your presentation. And it's going to be a great day here at the Offsite Collaboration Center and ActionCOACH Brookfield, and watching you do your magic.
Well, it will be inspiring too as we do these workshop challenges, the questions in asking these people who are participating to really think outside the box and challenge themselves to improve their business results for 2021. And you hit the nail on the head earlier with competition versus collaboration and filling in the blanks, the weaknesses. And so the event tomorrow will be inspiring, but it'll also be really rewarding if at the end of the year we can somehow aggregate numbers to find out what the impact was for the participants in building their business. That's really the net outcome that we're looking for, is improvement.
Well, and that's just it. Coming to an event like yours, my biggest belief and my biggest thing in life and in business is I have to work harder on myself than I do on my job. And taking time to go events like that is working on yourself, which is only going to grow you into a better leader, a better business owner, which is going to give you a better life. Working hard at your job doesn't do that. Working harder on yourself does. So.
Yes. Well, and finding joy. We all work way too hard at things that don't bring us joy. So finding that element that sparking joy, and then letting go the things that don't really bring in the quality of life and that happiness factor. So that's what we're all looking for. Why work if you're not going to be happy, or it doesn't bring you joy? Find something else to do.
Yeah. And Meg, you can help them do that. So you got to talk to Meg, and you can find that joy, in your career, and she's got the opportunities for you. So I kudos to everything you do. And I appreciate all that you've done for me and everybody else around us. So keep up the great work. And thanks for having me on today. It's just really, I can't be more appreciative to have someone reach out to me and let me talk a little bit about it, because it's one thing that people don't get to do much is talk about their own business. They're usually in their own heads. So thank you for that today.